Hi all, welcome to Tech Forum. In this video, let us talk about Cloud Manager for AEM. Cloud Manager is a cloud service, allows customers to build, test and deploy AEM applications hosted by Adobe Managed Services. This enables customers to manage their custom code deployments on their AEM-managed cloud environments with manageable pipeline automation and complete flexibility for their deployments timing or frequency. As part of Cloud Manager for AEM, each customer gets its own Git repository and their code is secure and not shared with any other organizations. The Cloud Manager is only available to Adobe Managed Services customers using AEM 6.4 or above or AEM as a cloud service. Cloud Manager enables us to deploy the dispatcher configurations as part of the package. To achieve this, the code should be restructured with the latest archetype. The latest archetypes include the dispatcher configurations as part of the code bundle. So also we should be addressing the quality issues and should be adhering to the best practices to enable the Cloud Manager deployment. We can define the application specific key performance indicators, means KPI, to measure the quality, security and performance. Let us see some of the key features of Cloud Manager. The first one is self-service interface. This enables the customers to easily access and manage the cloud environments and the CICD pipeline for their Experience Manager applications. This helps to define application specific KPIs like peak page views per minute and the expected response time for a page load. The interface helps to define the roles and permissions for different team members. The next one is CI/CD pipeline. Set up optimized CI/CD pipeline to speed the delivery of custom code or updates such as adding new components on the website. So this allows AEM project teams to quickly, safely and consistently deploy code to all AEM environments hosted in AMS. Thorough code scan is executed to ensure that only high quality applications pass through to the production environment. So quality checks include code inspection, security testing and performance testing are always performed as part of the CI/CD pipeline execution before deploying the code into production. The next one is flexible deployment modes. The Cloud Manager offers customers flexible and configurable deployment modes to production so that they can deliver experience according to changing business demands. So the first one is automatic trigger mode. The code is automatically deployed to an environment based on specific events such as a code commit. You can also schedule code deployment during specified timeframes, even outside business hours. Even you can trigger the deployment manually. The last one is auto scaling. Cloud Manager detects the need for additional capacity when the production environment is subject to unusually high load and automatically brings additional capacity online via auto scaling feature. So this auto scaling feature consider only publishers and dispatcher but not authors. Always it uses the horizontal scaling. Let us now talk about some of the benefits of Cloud Manager. Yeah, the first one is like this enables the organizations to self-manage the Experience Manager in the cloud. So again, continuous integration, continuous delivery of code to reduce time to market from months or weeks to days and hours. Cloud Manager provides continuous delivery and continuous integration for updates with zero downtime. This conducts code inspection, performance testing and security validation based on different best practices before pushing the code to production to minimize the production disturbance. So you can do automatic, scheduled or manual deployment even outside of the business hours for maximum flexibility and control. So the next one is auto scaling feature. This detects the need for increased capacity and automatically brings online additional dispatcher and publisher segments. So next one is reduce the dependency with Adobe CSC for production deployment. So we already talked about this will provide the flexibility to schedule the deployment even outside of business hours. Means you should be able to deploy the code into production with the minimal support from Adobe CSC, Customer Success Engineer. Even you can configure set up content paths which will be either be invalidated or flushed from the AEM dispatcher cache during the pipeline. As we discussed, Cloud Manager enables a Git repository for code management. If required, you can develop on your local Git repository and integrate with Cloud Manager Git repository when ready for deployment. Cloud Manager supports API, events, webhooks for external tool integration. This will help you to integrate with your current tool set to the pipeline. Example, performance or regression test suites. Let us now see the details on Cloud Manager CICD pipeline. The pipeline is enabled with a set of deployment steps which are executed in sequence. Two types of pipelines, one is NonProd pipeline, another one is production pipeline. Again, two types of NonProd pipelines, one is code quality pipeline and the second one is deployment pipeline. NonProd code quality pipeline. The code quality pipelines execute series of steps on a code from a Git branch to build and be evaluated against Cloud Manager's code quality scan. This helps to identify and fix the quality issues before planning for production deployment. The code quality pipeline can be used even before provisioning the environments. Let's say the environments are not, cloud environments are not provisioned, but you can use this code quality pipeline to identify the quality issues and address those issues. Also, it provides the quality report, so you can review that report and identify the quality issues. If you see this workflow, any branch, you can associate this code quality pipeline on any branch. So this will build the code, do the unit testing, then it will inspect the code based on the SonarQube rules and other best practices and provide the quality summary so that you can review that and fix that issues. NonProd deployment pipeline. The deployment pipelines supports the automated deployment of code from the Git repository to any non-production environment, means any provisioned AEM environment that is not stage or production. If you see the workflow, you can define different branches, dev or UAT. So then it will build the code again, unit test, again it performs the code inspection, quality check. So finally it will deploy the code to the corresponding environment, dev or UAT. So the author and publishers and dispatcher. Let us now see the details on the production pipeline. The production pipeline is used to build and deploy code through stage to the production environment, decreasing the time to value. So if you see the workflow here in the Cloud Manager Git repository, if you want, you can have a dedicated release branch, even you can have a custom release branches, or even you can use the master to build and deploy the code to stage and production. When the pipeline executes, it will build the code, unit test, again code inspection, the quality inspection. Once everything is passed, it will deploy to the stage environment. Post deployment to the stage, you can even perform the security test, performance test. So even you can configure the minimal security test and performance test as part of the pipeline. If required, even you can integrate with your external performance and security test suites. If required, even the regression test suites. So once all this test passed, you can deploy the code to the production environment, means author, publisher and dispatcher. So you can trigger this pipeline in multiple way. So maybe manually you can go and trigger it, or you can with a git commit. Whenever the code is committed to the release branch or master branch, you can trigger this pipeline. Or even you can schedule the deployment every 1 week, every 2 weeks, you can schedule the deployment. Also like deployment to prod, even you can look for a approval if required. So based on the approval, you can move the code, or even as I said, like schedule the production deployment. So based on the schedule, the code will be, the final code will be deployed to production. Or even if you want the CSC support, you can enable that. So based on the CSC approval, so this code will be deployed to production platform. Yeah, based on your use cases, either you can automate completely, or you can like enable the manual intervention whenever required. Maybe initially the automation is not recommended. So maybe once the pipeline is tested and approved, then we can go for complete automation. Let us now see the details on Cloud Manager quality check. The Cloud Manager performs the quality checks, including code inspection, performance testing, and security violation. The first one is code quality testing. Cloud Manager uses SonarQube and Oakpal content rules to statically analyze the code and the content. It tests security, reliability, maintainability, code coverage, skipped unit test, open issues, and the duplicated lines of code. Unfortunately, there is no way to add your custom rule right now, but you can mark some of the detected issues as false positive. So you can skip the rules. You can enable that in your code so that those rules will be skipped. The next one is security testing. The Cloud Manager runs the existing AEM security health checks on stage environment following the deployment and reports the status through the UI. The results are aggregated from all the AEM instances in the environment. If any one of the instances report a failure for a given health check, the entire environment fails that health check. The next one is performance testing. It tests both page rendering and asset performance. After 30 minutes of testing, it provides a report outlining that is CPU utilization and disk IO wait time and page error rate. For each of the above mentioned quality gates, Adobe introduced the concept of the three-tier result. Critical, these are issues identified by the gate which cause an immediate failure of the pipeline. Means with critical issues, you should not be able to proceed with the deployment. The next one is important. These are issues identified by the gate which cause the pipeline to enter a paused state. So it will not proceed the pipeline, but the deployment manager or project manager or business owner can either override the issues, in which case the pipeline proceeds, or they can accept the issues, in which case the pipeline stops with a failure. So means the important issues can be overridden, but critical issues can't be overridden. Then the next one is info. These are issues identified by the gate which are provided for informational purposes and have no impact on the pipeline execution. The performance and security testing, what we are talking here, is minimal. You should execute some external performance and security test if required. Let us now quickly talk about different roles on Cloud Manager. The first one is business owner. This is the primary user who completes the initial Cloud Manager setup, also responsible for defining the KPIs, also approving production deployments and overriding the important three-tier failures. We talked about the important failures can be overridden, so the business owner will have the authority to override. The next one is program manager. So uses the Cloud Manager to perform team setup like user onboarding and other team setup activities. Also review the status and view the KPIs. Even sometimes approve the important three-tier failures. So the next one is deployment manager. This role manages the deployment operations, uses the Cloud Manager to execute stage and production deployments, may approve important three-tier failures also. Also, it has the access to the Git repository. The last one is developer. They develop and test custom applications code, primarily uses Cloud Manager to view status, has commit access to the Git repository. Let us now see the details on Cloud Manager API. Cloud Manager exposes HTTP based APIs to perform different operations on Cloud Manager. The Cloud Manager API enables Cloud Manager customers to interact with the same underlying capabilities exposed through the web UI in a fully programmatic fashion. This allows for integration of the Cloud Manager continuous integration / continuous delivery pipeline with other systems. So this will help you to integrate with external systems. So the APIs are managed through Adobe I/O. By using Adobe I/O events, Cloud Manager can send notification to the external applications on key events. Some of the sample use cases are starting the Cloud Manager CICD pipeline from an external system, executing additional tests between the standard Cloud Manager performance test and the ultimate production deployment. As I said earlier, if you want, you can integrate with your own external test suites, like let it be a regression test or performance test. Triggering additional activities after a pipeline execution is complete or a specific step has been completed. For example, CDN cache invalidation once the production deployment is finished. Deploying related applications to non-managed services system means external application deployment based on this AEM deployment. Notifying on other channels like Slack, Microsoft Teams. Creating issue reports in bug tracking systems like Jira on pipeline failures. You can reference this specific URL for the details on Cloud Manager API. Let me quickly go there. Yeah, so if you see that, if you access that URL, Cloud Manager API, then even the event definitions are there. You can go and look at the details. So there is different APIs, like you can get the program details, then repository details, branches, pipelines, Even you can execute the pipeline, like also you can get the execution details also the environment details, variables and different. So even you can see the event definitions, like different events, what events are getting triggered. Yeah, maybe you can go through this for more details. Let us now quickly see the details on Cloud Manager notifications. Cloud Manager allows the user to receive the notifications when the production pipeline starts and completes, at the start of a production deployment, as well as when the go live approval and scheduled steps are reached. The notifications appear in a sidebar in the Cloud Manager UI. So email notifications. By default, notifications are available in the web user interface across Adobe Experience Cloud solutions. Individual users can also opt for these notifications to be sent through email, either on an immediate or digest basis. Even you can integrate with external tools through Cloud Manager API and events for notifying on other channels like Slack and Microsoft Teams. Let us see some of the additional tools for Cloud Manager. The first one is Cloud Manager Java SDK. This is the Java wrapper for Cloud Manager API. Provides set of convenience methods for interacting with the Cloud Manager definitions for a given organization from Java. The next one is Cloud Manager CLI, Cloud Manager plugin for the Adobe I/O CLI. The required Adobe I/O configuration should be enabled to use this CLI. If you see, this is the URLs for these tools, Cloud Manager Java SDK and Cloud Manager CLI. Let us now quickly see the ideal Cloud Manager code flow. You develop in your local machine and merge to customer own Git repository once the local development is completed. Then merge to the Cloud Manager Git repository once ready. So after merging to Cloud Manager Git repository, the different pipelines will be executed. As a first step, deploy to dev through NonProd deployment pipeline by performing all the pipeline steps. Even you can have multiple NonProd deployments, example to deploy to UAT environment. Once ready, execute the production pipeline to deploy the code to stage and finally to the production. This is the branching view. So you can have your customer Git. You can develop whatever the branching strategy you want. Maybe you can develop feature-based branching strategy here. Then on the Cloud Manager Git, you can have a different branches. For dev environment, you can have a develop branch. Even you have a UAT, then UAT branch. Then master branch to stage or production. Even you can have a release branch tag to stage and production deployment. You can keep the master branch separately. But whatever the way, you can arrange your branching strategy. Most of the time we will be developing in our own Git repository. That will give the more flexibility. Then once ready, we can merge the code to Cloud Manager Git to deploy into different environments. Let us now quickly see the Cloud Manager UI. So you can access the Cloud Manager UI through this URL, experience.adobe.com, or even you can directly access through my.cloudmanager.com. Your organization should be onboarded into Cloud Manager to access this. So click on this Cloud Manager. Here click on Experience Manager. Here click on the settings. Here you can see all your provisioned environments, the different environments you can see it here. Also you can see the production and non-production pipelines, like all the list of production and non-production pipelines. You can able to edit the production pipeline, also modify or create new non-prod code quality or deployment pipeline. But for a first time setup, the UI is going to be different. You need to set up the repository, Git repository, and the initial production pipeline and non-production pipeline. But this is the not the first time UI. So here if you go and see it, you can edit this pipeline. So whatever the details you want. So here you can see the source code, then what is the branch detail. You can select master or release or whatever. Then which environment, then what is the deployment trigger. It's a manual or on Git change. Then what kind of testing should be performed. Then even dispatcher configures, we talked about some invalidation or flushing you can enable. Then what is the behavior for important failures, like we are saying ask every time, or fail immediately or continue immediately. Then deployment options, then approve after stage deployment, skip load balancing changes or whatever. Then target environment, you should be selecting your stage environment here. Then for the production, again same thing, deployment option, use go live approval, somebody need to approve. Then also CSC oversight, we can say any CSC or my CSC. So then you can even schedule it. Like then you should be selecting the target production environment. Now same way, like you can configure the dispatcher path for invalidation. So then stage testing, here you can specify those performance and security testing details. So let me go into this non-production pipeline. So if I go to, here you can see the code quality only. This is the code quality pipeline, then UAT or other non-production pipeline. If I go and you can add a new pipeline also here. If you see here, like add new pipeline. So if you want, you can manage the Git also. So then after that, if I edit this code quality pipeline, it say like code quality pipeline. There is another one is deployment pipeline. Then you can select the Git branch. Then pipeline options, it's manually. Now if I go to that other pipeline, the other non-prod pipeline, it's a deployment to dev. You can see it. If I see here, like deployment pipeline, development environment detail, then Git branch, what branch is going to be used. Then pipeline option, it's manual, Git change or whatever. Now even you can, after the pipeline is set up, after the pipeline ran, even you can see the details. If I go to this pipeline, maybe I will see the code quality pipeline. You can see build and unit testing. You can download the log, then code scanning. You can review the summary here. So what kind of issues are there, even you can download the log. So based on this summary, even you can address the issues and rerun the pipeline. You can build the end-to-end CICD pipeline with your local Git repository and if required external CICD tools, example Jenkins and the Cloud Manager APIs. You can continue develop your code in local repository and integrate with Cloud Manager Git repository when the code is ready for deployment. Refer the Adobe documents for more details on Cloud Manager. Thanks all for watching the video. See you in the next video.